is going on, ladies and
happening?
gentlemen? It's not that deep.
And we're back.
We're back after a 2-month break.
Almost 2 months, yeah.
Almost 2 months, but, you know, we've been getting stuff done. I've been on holiday. We've got some trendy new mic stands, new setup, new pictures, courtesy of Voz. Thank you very much for him. Go follow Vaza Voz on Instagram. Thank you very much for that. And a brand new theme tune, courtesy of Brogan Finnegan and Tom Ack. So thank you very much to them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And what have you been, Martin, first?
Been all right.
Just move the mic a little bit closer to your face.
Just...
There you go. You just want it pointing at your mouth.
That's right. Setting that up. Yeah, I've been all right. Just working my ass off. That's normal.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How are you?
I'm not too bad, yeah. I'm excited for what we're talking about today.
That's right.
What we're talking about today, Martin.
We are talking about the film. It's sort of like a documentary that Kanye West did.
An experience. I
It
believe
was.
it's called. A Kanye West experience.
That's right.
Jesus is King.
Jesus is King.
The film.
That's the name.
The album.
Which
is still not out.
At this very moment.
As we record this.
As we record this, it's not out yet.
It is not
Hopefully,
out.
After this, it's on. But
Who
that's
knows?
a big if.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But whilst you wait for the album to come out, we figured that we'd kind of give our recap on what we thought of the film. We went to see it this morning in Birmingham. We live in Leicester.
IMAX.
Yeah, IMAX Theatre. We came from Leicester, so it's a little bit far out. But, you know, for Kanye, it's worth
We'll go
it.
the long way.
Indeed. So what we're going to do first is we're going to give our thoughts on the film, and then we're going to give a bit of backstory for the people that don't understand why Kanye West is releasing a film, and hopefully answer a few questions there. So just straight up, Martin, what did you think of the film?
I thought it was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was very well made. I guess it sort of surprised me a little bit. I thought it was gonna be a real different experience than what I saw.
Well, I think you were expecting like a more typical kind of album making of documentary.
Yeah. And it just didn't turn out like that.
So what this film actually is, for those of you who don't know, is Kanye West has been in Uganda for the past, he went there, I think, 6 months ago. And whilst he was over there, he spent time building homes called Yandhi homes. They're like these big dome structures for people to live in. And he also commissioned the artist James Turrell to create an acoustic space underneath a crater where a meteorite hit thousands of years ago. And he's been conducting these choir sessions that he calls the Sunday Service Collective. He's been performing with them in this space. And the film is basically, I'd say, 5, 6, 7 performances within that space.
Yeah, and after each performance, there's a quote from the Bible.
Yeah, there's different verses before each performance that kind of, I guess in some way, connect to the song that's being performed.
That's right, yeah. When you see the film, the first sort of thing you see is like a black hole, and it just keeps zooming out.
That's got that wicked song. It's called Cellar or something like that, and it's a banger. It's a big banger.
It's a banger. At first, when he's zooming out, you think, oh, it looks like an eye, but then you just sort of see it zoom out even more, and it's like a building, and it just turns into like this building in the middle of like this massive
desert.
Crater. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, massive crate.
As you said, when I asked you what you thought, it all looks beautiful. I mean, some of it reminded me of like Stanley Kubrick work. Some of it reminded me of like, I don't know, Spielberg or like Blade Runner or something like that. Real big amazing shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's that one that's like, it's the one they used on the posters where it's like panning through that hallway that's got all the like blue
That's
ripples.
where they all come in, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's they. I like that scene where they first all are just walking in, and every time somebody walks in, one goes to the left, one goes to the right, like in sequence.
It reminded, you've not seen this yet, but it reminded me of the film Eyes Wide Shut, when in the ritual scene when all the models walk in. But we'll get to that at some point. But it was very it was organized. It was. I think there'll be people out there that call it cult-like, you know, because everyone, it's a group of people all doing the same thing for one reason.
That's right, yeah.
And I don't know if people are ready for that.
I love that scene because once they start singing, you see that as the song is ending, the screen seems to go into like a circle.
Well, it
keeps panning
slowly panning in until it was just a circle,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And that looked so cool. The songs, there was a lot of music that Kanye has wrote previously in this film. You know, there was Ultra Light Beam, the choir parts from that, over this beautiful shot of the Wyoming mountains. There was a cover of the song Street Lights from the 808s and Heartbreaks album that was sick, that started with Kanye sweeping up the performance space like a janitor. Thought that was very cool. I'm trying to think what other songs, old Kanye songs, were in there.
You've already said the one from The Life of Pablo.
Yeah, Ultra Light Beam.
Yeah. I swear that he has one that is like highlight or fact.
Nah, it was Say You Will from 808s as well.
There
was a bit of that, the first song on it, 808s. And Kanye did a Zane Lowe interview yesterday. It's a couple of hours long, really worth listening to if you are interested in the life of Mr. West. And he was saying that he announced recently that he's not going to make secular music anymore, and he's done with cursing and swearing in his records and whatnot. And he was talking a lot about his pornography addiction, which if you listen to his lyrics, definitely has inspired them over the years. So he seems to be going in the direction of performing his old songs in a new manner with positive lyrics and things like that.
Which, to be fair, he did say that thing about him changing his discography. And if he does that, there's a lot of songs out there that he's got to change. But like if he changes them all, they've all there's a lot of them with features on them. So will he also have the artist change the feature?
Well, I think he was more referring to the Sunday service performances, because Zane Lowe actually asks him kind of if he's going to tour again or if he's going to perform again. And he basically says like, well, I do Sunday service. That's like performing to him now. But he also spent a bit of time talking about how it's so difficult being on a stage. It's like an overwhelming experience for an artist. It takes a lot of energy to get on a stage and like perform to a crowd like that.
Yeah.
And on the Life of Pablo tour, I don't know if you remember or saw pictures, the last tour he did, he had like this, the stage was suspended above the crowd and there was no way to like get off that platform. So he said on that last tour, he felt trapped a lot of the time. Like it was scary.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Especially, there's some great videos actually if you watch Kanye going on one of his famous rants around that era. And they're shot from the crowd. Kanye is talking about stuff that's obvious. He's rather passionate about what he's talking about. And the fans are like, boo, play another song, play Gold Digger. Now, if he's like got something on his chest and he wants to get that off his chest, that must be quite scary, seeing like 20,000 people being like, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh.
Stop doing that.
That would break someone.
It must be difficult. So the Sunday service thing seems to be a good format for him to...
But then his fans won't see that side of him anymore, of him having, obviously talking about his porn addiction in most of his songs. If he only does Sunday service, people are going to be a bit angry that he ain't doing any of the other songs. Does
Well,
that mean that he's completely ignoring them other songs?
I
Or...
think what will happen is what I left that film feeling was there's a lot of people, like as we were walking out, we could hear people that were obviously unsatisfied with the film.
Yeah.
But I then thought, but if I had been at that event, that would have been incredible. That would have been like life-changing.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I think, and this is probably, it's not good for the people at home that like watching everything on their phones and through screens and whatnot. But if you're actually at a Sunday service, you're going to have a great time.
Cool.
It's like the best way to have that sort of live experience, I think. The videos I've seen, it looked like the best sort of musical event you could hope to go to.
There were incredible performances in that film. I just love the way that he did it all. Like he set it all out. So some scenes are like oval shape. Other ones are just like a circle.
It's all very designed, stylized, lots of like big angles, cutting images, very powerful stuff. And it's stuff he's been doing since Yeezus. And, since My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, since Graduation, since 808s. He's been doing it forever, like the iconic imagery. But the kind of spirit or the mindset behind it, like he said in the Zane Lowe interview yesterday, on the Yeezus tour, I had Jesus, I'm paraphrasing him here, I had Jesus come down a mountain on the Yeezus tour, and I had to carry that mountain all around America. I was like wasting so much money doing this stupid thing to try and make a statement. And I think that's how he feels about his previous works, that they're misguided sort of thing. They look great and they're awesome, but the mindset behind it, because he considers himself like born again now, like he's a changed man. He's trying to live out of sin. And if you look, like the whole vibe of Yeezus is that it was all about excess. It was all about kind of acting on your desires and being crazy and being manic and stuff like that. And that kind of brings us around to the album, Jesus is King. Now, the album's a bit of a different story to the film, because Jesus is King, the album, has a previous iteration. This album was originally called Yandhi and was scheduled to be some sort of a follow-up to Yeezus, and it was announced over a year ago now. And as many Kanye projects do over time, it has changed and taken many different forms, but it's also leaked across the internet, many different versions of it, and we've been keeping up with the leaks, haven't we?
That's right, yeah.
And spent the last few months listening to them, and we've got to know those songs. We enjoy them, don't we?
Yeah. I like them versions, but obviously they're not finished versions, which can sometimes make you want that album even more. You're like, I want it finished.
This
now.
is a great idea, and I want to hear the full,
fully
fully fleshed out idea. So if you were to compare the music we heard today and the music that we've been hearing from the listening parties Kanye has been doing over the past couple of weeks, there's a few things I think you can pick up on. We were talking about this earlier. There's a song called Law of Attraction, which has now been changed to Use This Gospel. And I love the demo version that leaked on the Yandhi sessions. The verses are mostly gibberish, but he's like frantic in the way he's rapping. He's manic, and it's crazy. At the end, he's like, Grand Theft Auto, we're in a game, and it's it's full of energy. Now, I love that, and it's full of energy, but if I truly had to comment on the mental state of the person saying those lines, you'd be like, he's crazy. Like, he's in a crazed moment there. And that is what seems to be gone from Jesus is King. That, although I say this, and we're currently in the middle of a complete manic kind of, the album's not out yet and no one knows what's going on. So
no one knows.
That mania will always surround Kanye, but in the music at least, he seems to be kind of learning how to wield that mania. Because I think that's what's best about Kanye. He can be manic, but it must be incredibly difficult to control. But he says he's got all these bipolar mental conditions. That goes into him learning how to control his mania, I'd say.
To be fair, I just want him to fucking release the album.
Haha. Well, I think you
And I think
you speak for thousands
Yeah.
right now, Martin.
probably millions
Yeah.
of people wanting that album to just come out because he's delayed it twice now.
Well, he's delayed Jesus is King twice. He's delayed Yandhi twice. This whole project's been delayed. But the man gave us 5 albums last year, Martin.
5.
Kids See Ghosts.
Yeah.
Yay. The Pusha T album, the Nas album, and the Tiana Taylor album.
Damn.
He produced all of them. So when people are like, Kanye never gives us anything, it's like, he does give us. I understand that he announces things and sets dates and people get their hopes up for that.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're out here starving.
No, of course not. But at the end of the day, he should keep his word on when he's gonna. Obviously, if he's not happy with it, I get it. I'd rather him, if he's not happy with it, not release it already.
We spoke about how I kind of see it how I used to be at university, where you've got a date that it should be out by, and you use that date to spur you on. You leave it to the last minute because you're like, well, I have to put it out at this date. Mm-hmm. And obviously at uni, you can't move the date. So you have to use that energy. But what seems to be happening with Kanye is he sets a date. He's like, right, I have to get it out. And that day that it's meant to come out, you know, all the forums are on fire. The subreddits are going full blast. They're like, where is Kanye? They're tracking his flights and shit like that. And the project must just not be done. And that must be like the most stressful thing in the world. All set up by him. He set the date and it's his own creation.
That's right. Yeah, like if he didn't set a date, fair enough. But till he's like 100% happy that he wants to release a clip of the album, and then him say, "Oh, it's gonna be out on this day," then I feel like that's when you know that you've done with it. Like if you had a project and you wanted to release it, but didn't want to tell anyone when you wanted to release it, you would wait till that project is fully done before you
started
say,
shopping it around.
Yeah,
and shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Before you start saying, "Oh, this album's finished. I want to release it on this day," and then that day comes and it's not finished. Well, why'd you lying about it?
I don't think that's lying because it's like.
Or did he look? Or did he?
Imagine if you wanted to build a house, just you now.
Yeah.
And you set out a realistic date from when you wanted to build the house, but then you started building the house and you were like, I don't know, you got 2 weeks into it and you were just like, shit, this isn't going how I thought it was going to go, basically. And then you have to move the scheduled date of the house.
Yeah, but you would only do that once.
I guess. I also think in the Kanye situation, there's a lot of shit going on that we just don't know.
Yeah. But
there's probably things he's up against that we just don't have like an idea of because we're not
Kanye West
on that level.
Yeah. So going with that, so we watched this film, and there's one of my most probably enjoyed scenes is when it's just what's the guy that
The preacher.
Yeah. So the preacher, he has this,
or the conductor of the choir.
Yeah,
He was like both.
he has like this movement that
Well,
as soon as he
scene.
moves,
I'll just set the scene up. So it's inside the practice space, and the camera is. There's a big hole in the roof where the sun can shine in at a specific time when the sun is over the hole directly. And the camera has been placed on the podium where the conductor of the choir stands, and you can just see the sky, the hole, and you can see his body and his arms, and he's conducting the choir. But it's very physical, isn't it, Martin?
That's it. Yeah, he keeps moving around and like I won't say like flailing his arms about, but moving his arms about just to
the rhythm.
Yeah, but he like every time he points at a certain place, that part of the choir sings, and then he points at a different place and they sing.
Mm.
So it's all very
It's very satisfying to watch because as he gestures,
they just
majestic
sing.
chorus
Yeah.
comes out. So it's
so beautiful to just look at and
I think it was
experience.
visceral. It was a visceral scene. You know, it was very.
It's a very good experience.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Kanye West released it.
Yeah, I think it's a great film experience if you just go in with an open mind. I'm not, I'm open-minded. I don't think the idea of a Jewish man called Jesus walking around thousands of years ago preaching to people is that outrageous. Some of the other things that they claim he did, that's up for discussion. But I'm very interested to see how the hip-hop community is going to respond to this.
How do you
phase
think they're going to
of
respond?
Kanye's life? Well, listening to the Zane Lowe interview, he spoke a lot about how he's constantly felt like he's up against odds his whole career. Like there's always been something that he's been fighting, and it seems like he's on his knees, like begging for that to end.
Mhm.
Like he just wants to be free and to create and do what he wants to do. And I think with the Christianity thing, it's almost a front or a protection for him that he can hide behind and channel his creativity through that, and people won't attack Christianity like that because it's undeniably positive. Not Christianity as a whole. Organized Christianity is, there's some awful things that have come under the name of Christianity. But what Kanye's doing and the whole gospel vibe, it's really positive stuff. It's quite empowering, and Kanye West is someone that influences a large group of young people. I can't say I don't condone his actions. Like, they're admirable, his actions. I'm quite impressed with he must have spent a lot of time thinking about how important it is that his message is a good one because you're delivering it to thousands of people. Now, I like hip hop, Martin, and I understand the culture and the scene that surrounds it and a lot of the topics that are in it. But ultimately, I think a vast majority of the topics that are spoken about within hip hop are counterintuitive to making a better society. It's fun. We can talk about ass and drugs and bandos and choppers
Money.
and pullers and I don't know, this slang and stuff like that. I can't personally relate to it. I just like really impactful beats and decent delivery when I listen to rap. And I think Kanye has still retained those things, like that song in that first scene where it was zooming out. That was like an impactful song, big beat. It was still like a banger, you'd call it. But the message behind it is something positive. And I understand that a lot of the people that make this music talking about these dark things, that is because you'd hope they lived that life. And they're just talking about their experience. And I can't personally relate to that, but I respect that. But you're not only doing it for you, it's going out to thousands of people. So you've got to think about the effect that that's then having on the culture. And I think Kanye spent an awful lot of time. It must weigh on your soul heavy. Like, let's just say you had a song, Martin, that went bitches, money, cocaine, power. That's like fun. Maybe that's fun for like 2 months going out and performing that song. But then maybe you go out and perform that song all the time and you keep seeing people like really getting into it and they're like doing loads of cocaine and you're like, oh shit, I've just given these people an anthem to do cocaine and be derogatory to women to.
Yeah. True. But how is that going to affect the hip hop industry?
Well, I can see this going one or two ways. This little phase of Kanye West's career is either going to inspire some sort of new Christian revival within the culture, and it could have some like really positive effects, or it's going to tip people over the edge and people are going to be like, I can't handle Kanye West anymore. He started a cult, and it's all going to get very messy and dark for Kanye.
He also announced that he's doing Watch the Throne 2.
Well, this was a while ago he announced that.
Yeah. So how will that compare with Jesus is King? Like he's got to do the album The Throne 2 with Jay-Z.
Well,
will Jay-Z be like, would he do all gospel songs? Would he dim down his rap? So
I'm not the biggest Jay-Z fan, but as far as I'm aware, the last project that I think he bought a project out with Beyonce, didn't he, called The Carters?
Mm-hmm.
They did it together, and the whole project was about Jay-Z cheating on Beyonce.
I don't think that happened.
Them having problems in their relationship. I know definitely. I don't know the details of it, but my point is that although I've disagreed with Jay-Z's outlook on... Right, Jay-Z is one of the most powerful men in hip-hop. He's like hip-hop's first billionaire. He owns Tidal. He has a stake in the industry from a financial point of view, not just an artistic point of view. Pardon me. And that makes him quite an important figure. And he kind of ushers new artists in as well. Like Drake has been swept under Jay-Z's wing, and I don't know, Stormzy, the grime rapper from England, he's recently been read into the Jay-Z clique. It's all Rockefeller, it's all chains, it's all of that. And obviously the beef that Kanye and Jay-Z have had stems from Kanye kind of eclipsing Jay-Z, going from the person that made his beats to the person to a rapper. That was the first thing that Kanye felt trapped by. You're the beats guy. You'll never be the rapper guy. What are you talking about? Jay-Z's the rapper guy. Jay-Z's like the biggest rapper in the world. You're not going to be the rapper. You're the beat dude.
Now he became the competition.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because of the way Jay-Z was probably raised, he's had to rely on survival techniques to live in the harsh upbringing that he's had, you know, selling drugs and stuff. You're on edge sort of thing. And that's Jay-Z's whole deal. You know, I've sold cocaine, I can sell CDs. That's like one of his lines. So he's obviously saying that he takes his drug dealing attitude into his music, or at least he did, 10 years ago when he said that line. He's not going to take kindly to Kanye rising up to his level.
Mm-hmm.
But then by the time Watch the Throne comes around, it seems like they're at a comfortable place together. Their egos aren't being hurt too much. They can perform together. They make this album together. It seems all cool. But then it's after Watch the Throne that things start to get messy. It all seems to have started with that pop style song.
By Drake.
Yeah. Kanye and Jay-Z were both on that song on the single release, but then when the album came out, they were both removed. And basically after then, Kanye's relationship with Drake deteriorated. He was going to be... He had a song on More Life, didn't he? Glow.
Yeah, Glow, yeah.
Glow from More Life was the last song that they did together, and after that, it all just went quiet on that front. And The Life of Pablo
100%.
was meant to be released on Tidal exclusively. Then it wasn't.
Nope.
And it was released
big
everywhere.
Uproar. Between Jay-Z and Kanye. That's
so
a big
it kind of
big
shows
statement.
you... Yeah, it kind of shows you that Kanye has not kind of followed the Jay-Z's wishes, sort of thing. And I think combined with all the Jay-Z and Beyonce were big. It leads into a bigger conversation because it becomes left and right. It becomes a political conversation because the entertainment industry on whole is liberal, famously liberal. And liberal people are also famously atheist. So by large, I mean, I'm generalizing, but that I've heard that stereotype thrown around that the liberal people are generally atheist, and Kanye West is the opposite.
He's turned.
Yeah, he loves art, but he has been repping the red cap for a second. And Jay-Z and Beyonce were big pushers of Hillary Clinton for the American election. Obviously, that didn't happen. The last thing Kanye West said before he got taken off stage on the Life of Pablo tour was, "It's a new world, Hillary Clinton. It's a new world, Barack Obama," and they're liberal. They're on the liberal side of things. So that would lead one to believe that Kanye is now a conservative. He's now, he's right-leaning, which
I don't think it's true.
I don't think it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's 100% true, because it depends what you mean. We're in a world right now where if to the young people of the world, if you are on the right, you're evil. You want,
Destruction.
We've seen the furthest exaggerated version of the right, and it was the Holocaust. And you don't want that to happen again, do you?
Of course not.
Well, obviously, none of us want that to happen again.
No one does.
That's common sense. But I love the long-term goals of the left. Utopia, world peace, all of that. That makes sense. I can get down with all of that. But I don't think the way the infrastructure that the left create is not as sturdy as the infrastructure created by the right. And what I mean by that is, yes, killing people and segregating races and racism, that's terrible. But the Germans, Hitler did, Germany was booming for the time, the Hugo Boss uniforms, Ford tanks, the Autobahn, decent infrastructure for the country. And I think that part of that, was essential to that situation, because it kept the public busy. If the country was going to shit, then there's going to be uproar at the people running the country, and they're going to be knocking down the door, why is the country going to shit? But if they keep the country looking nice, then they can do what they want, sort of thing, which is evil and maniacal. So, but I don't think, if the left and right in some crazy world were to start working together, you could take the long-term goals of the left, which is to create this, Atlantis-esque utopia, and the right short-term goals, the way they implement things, the infrastructure they build, and we can maybe achieve that utopia. But I think that's what Kanye West wants to do, and I think that's why I think it, from his point of view, speaking to Donald Trump is as simple as, there's a new boss running the country, and I want to know who the boss is, and I want to be able to speak to the boss and maybe have an input into what the boss does for the country.
Yeah. But
a lot of people wouldn't see it how I just said it.
No, they won't. They'll see it as, he's just crazy.
Crazy, racist, hypocrite.
Yep. All the time. But it's not I don't feel like he's necessarily racist. That's just my opinion on it. You probably got the same opinion. Everyone watching this or hearing this will probably be like, no, he's racist. He said this. He's done this.
Well, he said that slavery was a choice. Well, that was the headline.
Yeah.
But what he actually said, and I've not given this statement enough thought to say whether I agree with it or not, but I know at least what his original intention was, and his original intention was to say that after generations and generations of people being enslaved, then it becomes a choice. It's your choice to then stand up to that oppression, was his point, I believe. Which isn't an inherently bad point, I don't think. It's not. I mean, it would be incredibly disrespectful to be like, on the first day of slavery, it was a choice. They're idiots to even get themselves in that situation. That's bonkers. No. That's obviously not what the man was trying to say, but you can't. We work on a very quick rate of news and information these days, so that you just
anything
see the
that sells. Yeah. Anything that sells.
You just see the headline: Kanye West said slavery was a choice, and you're like, oh, racist. But I don't really have much of a stick to wave in this court. Like, I'm a white middle class fucking idiot from England, so I don't have too much of a ball in that court, to be perfectly honest, to be giving my opinion on.
I can't give my opinion either because I wasn't in that time.
Mm.
Like saying, "Oh, my ancestors were enslaved." They were, but I can't say, "Oh, it was a choice for them,"
Yeah.
because you don't know. Like people don't want to die, basically. Now, if there's an uproar or like manic happening, then some people are gonna lose their lives. Some people will, and just
I think that
if you think,
goes for anything. People are going. Death happens like all the time. Like
Mhm.
right now, death is happening right now, all the time, and it's grim, but it's part of life.
that's right. But if you could put yourself not in harm's way, you wouldn't. You know what I mean? I get it that people should have stood up for themselves,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, if somebody's holding a gun, you're gonna do what they tell you to do.
Yeah, definitely. But Kanye, he's always been about like empowering the people and rise up and all of that. So he's looking at it from a positive stance. Like he's saying, I want people to rise up, like like the slaves eventually did. So I don't think he's looking at it in a negative way.
Maybe his message is trying to be rise up right now
Yeah, definitely,
and
100%.
don't listen to what anyone tells you about the world because it could all be a lie.
Yeah, and I find for the most part Kanye's message to be, incredibly empowering. He's always kind of spoke his mind. He's always been himself. I think I heard him in the Zane Lowe interview yesterday say, like, I've spent my whole career saying my opinion. I'm not going to stop now. Like,
course
that'd be
not.
crazy to stop at this
Mhm.
point after all these years I've been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It would just mean that if he starts saying his opinion, then we'll be getting albums from Kanye West like he used to do them instead of what he's doing now. But I'm glad that he
it's not been
hasn't.
like that in over 10 years, though.
I'm
Like,
glad that he hasn't stopped being who he is,
Mm.
because it just gives you something to like sort of look forward to, because you know that something always big happens when Kanye's in the scene.
Well, there's a lot of music out there, and there's only more music being made. The rate that music gets created is only getting quicker and larger. So we're getting to a point where it's like quality over quantity for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm quite an impressionable young man, and I like to listen to music created by people and, all other forms of art for that matter, that have my best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's artists out there that they might be trying to work out their own pain or channel their own experience or something they're going through into an art project, but without that being explained, it just becomes a sort of it becomes the thing that it's trying to
Not be.
speak out against. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's kind of I'd relate it to something like, the show The In-Betweeners. Well, obviously, like, that show's meant to be about four very uncool kids. And by the time that show was at the end of its run, people were desiring to be like them. And it's like the show was making fun of them. That's the whole point of the show. But now they have become the one. They've got catchphrases and they've got their characters now. And
everyone wants to be them.
yeah, and it affects the culture. And now, look what's in England. We live in a culture based on banter. Everything's just for banter.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter, mate. Banter.
That's it. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you hurt or.
I'd be interested to know, what the creators and the In-Betweeners think about their creation and how it's affected British culture. And
Let's look that up later.
but the same thing applies to Kanye and stuff like that. I do get excited when Kanye West does something because I understand that he has thought about all this stuff that we're talking about, and he does have his audience's best interest at heart, and he does want to, You know, in his words, spread the gospel, make the world a better place. He's trying to do that. And then it may come across as messy, unorganized, all sorts of different things. But at the heart of it, that's what he's trying to do.
But yeah, it may be messy and not clean, but like at least he's trying.
Yeah, and that's admirable to me. That is, I admire someone doing that. It must. I don't know from personal experience, but it must be quite difficult. It must be quite easy to fall in line when creating music. It must be quite easy just to make music that sounds like everything else on the radio and do what's hot right now. But it's the people that are thinking forward, like, how can we make this better? How can we make this art form better? How can we push
How can we change the culture?
Yeah, how can we push the bracket on what's achievable within this art form? And it must, I know that Kanye West has spent a lot of money that he probably shouldn't have spent. He spent a lot of energy that he probably shouldn't have spent. He's done a lot of things that he didn't have to do, but he does them because he knows it's like the right thing to do. And there's not a lot of artists of that caliber. It takes a lot of energy. I can imagine why you wouldn't want to put yourself through all of that. But I think he's doing it for the people. I think Kanye West is a man of the people. I think this shit will look quite good when he's dead. I think it looks crazy now.
But when he's dead, he's going to be a pillar of...
He'll be a prophet, yeah. I mean, there was a point in David Bowie's career when David Bowie did, like, characters with every album. And there was this album he did called Station to Station, and the character for that was called the Thin White Duke. And it was kind of this cocaine-taking, very thin, smartly dressed Nazi character kind of guy. And he turned up to an event and I think he waved, but they got a picture of him like that, basically. And it was all in the papers, like David Bowie's a Nazi supporter and all of this. And they just fucking tore him apart without even taking into account.
Whatever sells, bro. And whatever sells.
And again, it just reminded me of Tyler, the Creator's only just been allowed back into this country after years.
6 years.
Yeah, of being banned for playing a character. Why does a book like American Psycho, for example, Patrick Bateman, in the book, he kills children, he's doing awful things, and that book, it was banned, but that book is part of culture now. You know, Halloween.
And there's a film.
Yeah, Halloween's coming up. You see Patrick Bateman's all over the fucking place, but Tyler, the Creator, does it and puts it in a song, and it's not
and it's a no-no.
Seen in the same way. It's to do with how the public digest art. I believe it's the opinion of quite a lot of the artistic community. I know, like the South Park guys, Tyler, the Creator, a lot of stand-up comedians I watch. The general vibe seems to be, if it's a joke, nothing should be off limits, and that's the point of comedy. That's the point of art. It's imaginary. Yeah,
it doesn't have to necessarily be real.
There's a Nirvana song called Dumb, and it's just the lead singer. He's just talking about how...
dumb stuff.
Well, no, the first line is, I'm not like them, I can pretend. And there's a whole thing in pretending. You can pretend anything, but that's the point. It's pretend, it's not real. And Kanye seems to have been touching on these kind of vibes for ages now. He had that song that's released on Spotify called Ecstasy, where the chorus is, you got dark thoughts, I got more of them. So, and I thought about killing you.
Isn't that in...
That's on Ye.
That's
the opening. But the whole point is I think you should be able to think, talk, and have a conversation about any topic. You know, if you start hiding things and you start making certain topics taboo to talk about and things like that, then it's like sweeping it under the rug. Don't talk about that. And then the problem just grows and it gets bigger and bigger, and then it manifests and it becomes real in our society, and then it becomes a bigger problem if we'd just spoken about it.
From the beginning, it would have been done by now.
Yeah, you can control the situation a bit more. And that's just part of to artists, that's like bread and butter. Like creativity has no bounds. You talk about anything. But to the common man, like the average person that goes to the pub on the weekend, there's just certain shit you can't talk about.
No, yeah, of course.
It's not in their vernacular. It's not in their everyday. It's difficult. And Kanye West is like the extreme of that. He has the money to facilitate living exactly how he wants. He doesn't have to compromise in any area of his life. So why, from his point of view, why the fuck should he compromise to
everyone's needs?
But I certainly think this will be a very interesting album rollout.
I cannot wait. I am tiptoeing around everywhere to see if the album's out. If he releases it, as long as he releases it this weekend, then it's fine.
I mean, I've waited over a year at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't... I can listen to the Yandhi leaks until it comes out.
I mean, that's what we got to do. We ain't got no other choice.
He announced a second album yesterday in the Zane Lowe interview, coming out on Christmas Day, called Jesus is Lord.
No, Jesus is Born.
Oh, Jesus is Born. Sorry, Jesus is Lord is the last song on Jesus is King.
Yep.
And Jesus is Born is a Sunday service album, so I'm imagining that will be similar to what we just saw in the film. And although I have seen some pretty like hard hitting beats in some of the Sunday service sessions, so maybe there'll be some super hot fire on there for you, Martin.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for it. I mean, if you haven't seen the film, you don't have to go to the cinema to watch it. Probably
they can't now unless they watch this tonight and buy a ticket tomorrow, or tonight for tomorrow's viewings, or possibly Sunday. There is viewings on Sunday, but it's happening this weekend. So there was only about 20 people at our showing. Kanye, I've been to a couple of Kanye events at cinemas now, and there has never been more than 25 people there. The man must lose money on these things.
So if you're watching this and the weekend's over and you can't watch it anymore at the cinema, just watch it online. It's a beautiful piece of work right there that Kanye has done. And I give it to the man that he has made some outstanding changes to his career.
And his personality.
That's right.
I was just wanted to say that the film is directed by a gentleman called Nick Knight.
Nick Knight.
Yeah, he seems to have a few other short films. I'm just looking on Letterboxd now. And the name of the person who designed the space in Uganda was called James Turrell.
It's the ending credits. Well, I found one bit of it a bit funny because they just had a section called hair.
Oh yeah, hair and makeup.
Yeah, just hair. There was no I didn't see any. Hair. Yeah, just hair. It was just who did the hair, and I'm like, there's a lot of. You can't see people's hair quite a lot.
Yeah, but we're dealing with a Kubrick level of attention to detail here with Mr. West, so every detail will have been thought about.
I enjoyed how much the spirit when that choir was singing, even that bit where everybody started crying.
Oh yeah, at the end
near the end it was
at the end of one of the performances after they stopped performing. Everyone just went round. It looked like it had been quite a draining session because a lot of people were, as you say, kind of crying and kind of like shaking their hands.
But
like
they were
been through stuff. Like
I didn't feel it like it was. They were crying because of
just an intense experience.
I don't think it was because of that. I think it's because they feel Jesus.
You think?
Yeah, they like the way that. Well, I've been to a lot of services on like Sunday services in different churches, and like when they've stopped singing or when they are singing, they get really emotional that they feel that the Lord is touching them, and that's what I thought about when I first saw that scene. I was like, wow, they must feel the Spirit
Yeah.
in their soul, and is making them cry of enjoyment. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that excites me, Martin, that you think that, because I'm an optimistic man, and I would like to think that that is probably the case, that at least these people are thinking that they are having this religious experience. And if that works for them, then run with it, I say. Like, why?
Why not?
Yeah, if that gives you that good feeling and whatnot, then God is touching you. And I can't wait to see how some of the overtly religious themes of this album rollout are going to be handled by people. Because as I said, the entertainment industry en masse is atheist. And over the past couple of 100 years, science has kind of kicked organized religion out the way. And we live in a science society now. And that science has done incredible. All of this shit that we're doing right now is science. Without science,
We wouldn't have
would be
any of
nothing.
this.
So I'm
Yeah.
eternally grateful to science. But I must say that we live. Number one, there's a mental health crisis going on planet-wide. There's an environmental issue going on planet-wide. And this seems to be through a lack of morals, like a system of morals. And say what you want about religion, it all sounds silly. People flying around in the sky and people walking on water and Buddhas sat under trees. And I get it. Like, fucking second chapter of the Bible is talking about angels coming down and raping women. So I understand the skepticism. But you can't deny, look at the Ten Commandments and name me one that you're like, nah, that don't make sense. They're pretty decent, like, rules to live your life by.
Mm-hmm.
And the 7 deadly sins, again, there's not one of them that you can point out and be like, yeah, that's actually really good for me. Lust.
Yeah.
I should be lusting all the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Gluttony. I love being a glutton. Like, you never hear people, well, if you do hear people say those things, then you're like, you're worried about that person.
Mm-hmm.
So if religion can be, if we can just work out what the hell is going on with religion, I think it could be something that society, needs some sort of moral framework. And unfortunately, I don't see the majority of, hip hop at least, there's the rest of music to think about as well, but a lot of what's going on in hip hop over the past 10 years or so does not really fit into that system of morals that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
But isn't that, the entertainment industry itself is built on Satanism, rock and roll bands with the devil horns and all of that. And they are all about the 7 deadly sins. It's all about excess. It's all about consumption, of mass consumption of a drug or a product or something like that. So it's really quite a large change that Kanye is trying to instigate here. It's massive. And this, as I just said, this industry is built on it, and our culture is built on terror. So I think we need it. I grew up and saw
We definitely need it.
kids around me cutting their wrists, and I have friends who had friends that killed themselves and things like that. So I grew up and there was this whole thing going on, the emo movement, like everyone was emotional. And you look around what's going on in the world, like 9/11 had happened, and the wars upon wars upon wars, all the way back to the fucking Vietnam War and the Cold War. It's like, yeah, everyone's got a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's crazy. And we can sell ourselves with music. And music's really fucking important to a lot of people. So, and I grew up, as I just said, there was like the emo thing going on, but there was also like the nu metal movement happening, and there was all these songs. You must have had that song, "Cut My Life into Pieces."
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, why is he that angry? you look a bit more into his life and you're like, oh,
That's why.
he's had a lot of pain in his
Yeah.
life. And it goes for a lot of these bands that are around in that era. Your Linkin Parks, your Slipknots, your classic angry bands that obviously resonated with the culture at the time because everyone else felt like they were in pain. It's all pain related. Everyone's in pain. Everyone's hurting. So if we're going to be doing music and stuff like that, let's make it a positive thing. Let's really try and empower people and make a positive change in society. So with that in mind, I must say I support what Kanye West is doing wholeheartedly.
Let's just hope he doesn't change his mind.
No, I mean, I must say, if this project doesn't work in the way that he wants it to, I could just see him like he's done. Family man from now on.
No more music.
No, because he really, the vibe I got from the Zane Lowe interview is he's tired.
Family man, and then
yeah,
he'll start just doing clothes,
and
shoes.
well, I remember. We're going to wrap this up soon, but I remember at the Life of Pablo cinema event that he did, he was talking about, he had this big board and I don't know if his company still called this or it was at the time, it was named after his mother, Donda. And on that board, he had like all the projects that Donda wanted to achieve. And it had houses for people that didn't have houses. It had clothes. It had music. It had films. It had video games. It had infrastructure for like computers, web design. It had all this stuff that Kanye basically has no business doing. And people, they're all in different industries throughout society. And at each one, I imagine, Kanye's going to go knocking on the door and they're going to be like, no, you're a rapper. And he has to go through the same process for each industry.
Mm-hmm.
That must be so tiring. Like, really stressful shit. And I can understand how it's really admirable having that idea to do all this shit, but it must be really fucking tiring.
It must get on his conscience quite a lot.
Hmm.
Because he has to sort of... He wants to make the memory of his mum last.
Yeah, he just wants to leave a positive mark on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But people just want hi-hats, bars, ad-libs, fire, super hot, like... all of that. So that is what I think he's going to be up against with this album rollout.
Well,
it could be out right now, Martin, so we better wrap this up. And
let's wrap this up. All right.
But yeah, we're back. Podcast now, every Friday. We've
got this new theme song. We're getting in.
New layout. We've got a film coming out this month called Waking Up. You'll be hearing more about that soon. And our merch store goes online this month with these fancy new shirts that Martin's got us made. So
I'll get more made for us.
Yeah, keep an eye out for them. Always working on lots of stuff. Music coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. Martin DeVerge on Instagram. Jack Oland, MIP, LTD.
The album is out.
It's out now.
It's out right now.
Well, I know what we're doing, Martin.
Look at this album out
fresh.
now.
Jesus is king.
Fresh.
Fantastic.
You see this? Fresh. I knew it was going to be out as soon as we finished this.
Well, with that,
it's
not that deep.
Always cut out.
Yeah, but we'll end the video feed there, Martin, and the audio will carry on.
All right.
It's not that deep. I hope everybody enjoys the
album.
It's not that
deep.
Bro.
Enjoy the album. It's not that deep, bro. Follow me on Instagram, Martin DeVerge. Follow Jack on Instagram, Oland MIP. Keep up with our stuff on Instagram.
MIP LTD.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus King.